competitive field, as both of you know. Can Teo Hui Jin and 4 Janice Jia get their spear on the mark, and at least for their personal best, do you think?
I'm hoping that they will try to do their best and get the personal best. If not, do whatever they can, because the Filipinos, the Vietnamese, the Thai, they're very strong. They're throwing about a high 40s.
Wow.
It's not easy to match that.
Yeah.
Because Hui Jian and Gladys is throwing about 30 plus. So hopefully they can do what they can to achieve and give their best. That's all we can ask for, Yeah.
Let me ask you, what would the Vietnamese have an advantage over us here in Singapore that they're so good? You're saying they generally do well in these events.
Not only Vietnamese or so forth, but even the Thais, the Indonesians. I think they have more good developmental program when they can gather their athletes, they control them, they manage them, and they bring them through the youth, junior level to the senior level, and get better exposure. And the athletes there generally do not have much things to think about besides training, because this is what they like to do.
Right.
They want to train, they like to compete, they will travel and fight. But for us, local kids here, they have a lot of distraction.
Got a lot of options, got a lot of distractions.
Of course, school education,
jobs, and so forth and so forth. So there's a lot of distraction, but it can be waved off. But there must be some form of management so that they are not being, wander off to think about that track rather than this track that they want to do good in sports.
Maybe it's a mindset thing, right? In those countries, when you say you're a sportsman, everyone look up to you, and they are also so happy that they've been selected. So like what James says, they stay and they want to achieve the best. For us, so our construal of what is successful, maybe
different thing.
Yeah, maybe academics or getting a high paying job. So when you say you're an athlete, not everyone's gonna wow.
Not so glamorous.
Yeah, not so glamorous.
But for them, it's more like a career, that this is what they do full time.
Yeah, because they felt, when they represent the country, their own country, they felt recognized, and they were being publicized and so forth. Not that we did not get publicity for athletes, but somehow eventually the track wanders off, because they think it's better to do this way, because I need to start making a family or getting my career done rather than continue for another 10, 20 years. So it's a tough choice.
Okay, let's talk about someone that you may well know of course, the chances of 20-year-old Wong Kai-yun in the men's shot put and Tang Yong-sheng, the other Singapore thrower. How do we rate their chances?
Okay, in the shot put, there's 6 competitors throwing. There's 2 Thais, 1 Vietnamese, 2 Singaporean, and I think 1 Malaysian. The Thais, the Malaysian, and the Filipinos, they're throwing at a high 16-meter range, so they are very competitive there. Kai-yun did about the low 16, but she has been struggling with form for the past couple of months. So hopefully he can throw a PB, and then things can happen.
Sure.
I don't know until we'll see later part. Hopefully he can turn it on and blast the shot out.
Right.
And Yong-shen is basically, he's a decathlete, so he didn't make it in decathlete. That's why he's in the short part. So hopefully he can do his PB.
Right.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Shyam, this question's for you. Much hype has been placed on our best sprinting hope, of course, which is Veronica Shanti Pereira. In the women's 200 meter later on, she breezed through the heats this morning, and she even set a new national record of 23 seconds and 82. Her chances later on, do you think they're very, very high?
Well, I think I'm quite excited. I think she might even be able to get the gold, because you never know, because based on the time she ran yesterday, 11:80s, right? Yeah. She should be able to run about a 23.6, and she's the type of runner who's really good at the speed endurance, right? So like I said, I think she's better suited for the 200, so she might be able to give the Filipino a fight.
This was a heat earlier on in the day, Shanti Pereira.
Yeah, you can see that she's really going hard right around the curve, and her form is also very good. The Filipino actually looks like she's kind of pushing. Shanti looks like she's in a bit more control.
That's of course Elise Richardson, who won the gold medal. 100
in
meters.
the 100. Yeah.
That'll be her biggest competitor, surely.
Yeah, for sure. And Richardson trains in the US, and I think she's about 17 years old. So I think her coaches and all, definitely the US has a good tradition of being strong in the sprint. So she's really promising for the next few SEA Games as well. But I think Shanti being,
you think Shanti can hold her off?
it's possible, because I think yesterday she got a medal in the 100. She's in high spirits, and this is a pet event. Mechanically, I think she runs better in the 200. So I think she may be able to pull off another national record and really give Richardson a fight. Yeah.
You mentioned there, of course, that Richardson's 17, Shanti's only 18.
Yeah.
And so it's really, really young girls here. We're going to talk about her strengths and what she has to do to really make it up to the very top of this region before thinking about Asian level.
I think she's really young, but we also need to look at the training age of the athlete, right? Like how many years you've been training. Shanti's a product of the sports school, so I think she has been really taken care of by the sports school, and she's been training since maybe 12 years old. So she has quite a few years of training. That being said, she's only 18, so the sky's the limit in that sense. Maybe she needs to work on her mechanics, the way she moves, and they shouldn't rush her. Don't do hard training too fast, so that you can ensure longevity, right?
It's interesting because, James, we talk about the throwers. You can really prolong your career well into your 30s and 40s, whereas with sprinters, you don't see that many sprinters go beyond their 30s. Do you? There are a few, but
your
peak's really in your early 20s.
Yeah, it depends. I think some of the world-class sprinters can be in their, when they hit 30, 31. In the sprints, there are a lot of energy systems that you have to work on your mechanics, your endurance, your nervous system, your power, and all that kind of thing. So I think as you age, it's harder to maintain all of those things. So, but Shanti probably has more than 10 years, of high level sprinting to go.
Well, we're very excited for that, obviously, to track her career all throughout. In the 200 meters final, we'll see another young Singaporean, of course, who's going to be coming up very, very soon. Let's see. Yes, that's right. C. Kugapriya, who clocked a personal best of 24:94 in this morning's heat. Now, he's 17 years old. What do you think we are to expect?
Yeah, I was actually quite shocked, because I heard that she was having a bit of problems a year back, I think, and she wanted to leave the sport or something. And then now to see her at the SEA Games, if you see her run, the way she ran the curve, she's really promising. I was very impressed how aggressively she was running.
So is that one of the hardest parts, to take the curve?
It is, but you can see that she's so powerful for her age, and she didn't fade, and she was just fighting all the way. Being so young, and then she ran a personal best. I think she dipped below 25 for women running. Her field is also very strong. You can see the Malaysian was the one who ran 11:68, and then of course the Vietnamese. So you look at the Vietnamese, her mechanics are so good. Again, probably Lawrence Seagrave. I told you that he's quite renowned for training a lot of world-class coaches. So that explains why the Vietnamese sprints are probably getting better and better. Later we'll see the guys as well running really fast. I think the Vietnamese guy probably was the fastest qualifier for the 200, 21:14. So Priya's going to be running against a really strong field.
Tough field, isn't it?
Yeah, but for her, it's about running a PB and her first exposure to SEA Games. So it's it's really another promising career. Probably definitely someone that can run low 24 and maybe even 23 plus when she's older.
Wow.
Let's stick with the 200 meters, of course, because Singapore represented by Lee Cheng Wei in the men's version. In the morning heats, he clocked a season best of 21:59. What do you think he can do for us? I mean, Lee Cheng Wei, is he someone to look out for in the future?
Cheng Wei is 28. I'm not sure whether you know how many more years that he will continue.
Is he a medal prospect though?
At this time, you can't tell. You can't tell it's possible because he's really very strong mentally in the mind, and he's very consistent in the 200. Is this a heats? Yeah, this is the heats. So you can see he likes to actually push harder at the second half of the race. So you can see that he's behind the pack and then he's still pressing on. I think he ran a season's best, 21:59, very impressive. But the field is also really strong, right? The Malaysian looks really good. I think in terms of his height, his stride length, he really looks like a 200 man. In the art, and then the Thai, everyone is pushing actually. The Thai does look like he's actually tying up slightly. He's starting to shake a bit towards the end, and then I think he switches off. The 200 field is actually quite strong.
Yeah, that was round 1, heat 2.
Yeah.
And he got the third fastest time and qualified. Season best as well, so he should be pretty happy with it.
He should be, and I'm actually expecting him to run a bit faster. Cheng Wei has a lot of experience. He's been with the relay team and been running for about 6 years at high level. So he's really going to push, and I think he's our most consistent and our best 200-meter runner. So I think I'm quite excited to see how he battles it out in the final.
I have a very just a question. Given Singapore's, say, humidity and climate, is it hard to run a race that's that explosive? Does it make it very difficult?
I think it's actually better, except for the warm-up. Maybe sometimes it might be too hot. So if you keep on hydrating yourself, the heat is actually good for the 100 and the 200 because your muscles are warm and all that. And it's a short race, so it's a good thing. I think for distance runners, it's a bit more of a problem because you lose a lot of water.
Speaking of distance runners, let's now go back to the men's 10,000 meters.